Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. It's been a minute. We've been a little busy this time of year.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. And now we're back to talk about a new movie. Now, we're not, this is going to be like talking about an old movie. All right, we're doing a review. What are we reviewing today?
A movie with like 5 humans and like 10 dinosaurs, maybe?
Yep, and it's not Jurassic Park either.
True.
So, 65. I don't know what to say now.
Takes place 65 million years ago.
Yeah, so they call the movie 65 because it takes 65 million years ago. Takes place 65 million years ago, right? But it seemed like that was supposed to be a twist in the movie, but they heavily advertised that as the twist of the movie in the advertisements. So it didn't really come off as a twist because we already knew. I feel like they shouldn't have said anything about that, or I kind of feel like they shouldn't have named the movie 65 too, because it kind of spoils the fact that it's like an alien that's exploring.
It's kind of like naming Earth. A movie Alien and then expecting an alien to show up being the twist. Not much of a twist when it's in the name. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know. It's more like if Planet of the Apes was called 65 million years from now. Like the whole part of it being him finding out in the end that he's on Earth the whole time. That's the twist, right?
Is it a twist?
Yes. That's like the greatest plot twist of all time.
We knew he was on Earth the whole time.
Well, I'm just talking about in Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I'm saying, like, him being on Earth, like Adam Driver, yeah, that would have made a great plot twist, in my opinion.
Yeah, but we knew he was on Earth the whole time.
Yeah, because they advertised it.
Yeah.
I'm saying if they would have done an advertising where it was, they didn't say anything like that, where they just made it out to look like a human going out on an exploratory mission and they crash on this unknown planet and now they have to survive kind of thing, and they try to like cut back on the dinosaurs maybe.
Yeah, I feel like having dinosaurs and having a giant asteroid flying at the planet kind of would give it away that it's Earth anyway.
Yeah, but in the movie, like, you don't show that in the trailer. The trailer shouldn't have shown anything after him leaving or landing there, really, except for like stuff that didn't show the animals, didn't show the asteroid, right? Sure. And even if they just showed an asteroid coming towards, nobody would just assume that that was the asteroid that killed the dinosaurs.
No, but you put asteroids and dinosaurs together, then
you assume. Right. That's why that should have been kept a little bit of. But at the same time, if they would have kept the dinosaur secret, that was their real only selling point, because
True.
It's a dinosaur movie. I don't know. So it felt like it was meant to be a twist without it actually being meant to be a twist.
Yeah, I mean, I knew what to expect, and I pretty much got exactly what I expected.
Yeah. I guess, how is there any way to really spoil the movie? It's not like there's anything.
Like, you know what you're listening to this, you know what the movie's about.
Yeah. So when it comes to actual plot, there's not really enough of the plot to spoil, because like if it's a survival movie, you know what I'm saying? They're all laid out kind of the same. If you saw a review for The Edge, you wouldn't want a non-spoiler. Hey, spoiler alert, they survive, or somebody does. That's the whole point of the movie, right? But so we're not gonna do anything spoiler free, because we're just gonna talk about the movie. There's really no point in avoiding spoilers. There's not enough to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say it's a thin plot, but there's not a lot of like turning points in the plot. It's very direct.
It's very basic, and not in a bad way.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it doesn't need, for the genre of the movie that it is, it doesn't need anything crazy.
Right. And there's not enough characters to like try to skirt around them to avoid spoilers. Like, we just have to tell you who they are and what they do.
Yep. All right. So opens up. Adam Driver is on the beach with his wife and his daughter, and he's talking to his wife about he's got to go on this like long-term space exploration mission that he's getting paid a lot extra to do, and so that he can pay for his sick kids' treatments or whatnot. And he's trying to come up with the courage to tell his daughter that he's going to be gone for 2 years. And then he goes to talk to her and shows her how to do that little hand whistle thing.
Which I just learned to do, by the way.
No, he didn't.
I did it once.
He didn't learn. He happened to have done it, but he can't replicate it. You know, as a maintainer would say, can't duplicate on the ground, so we're going to ignore it. So that joke was purely for you, Nate, if you listen to this. So moving on, she already knows he's leaving. She knows that it's so that her treatments can get paid for. Cut to him flying through space. They start going into an asteroid field. The ship gets messed up, crash onto this planet. All of the cryopods get destroyed and scattered everywhere. He wakes up and he starts checking things out. But here was something that was kind of gave me like a what's that, like the Chekhov's gun, like don't show something if you're not going to use it later kind of thing.
Yeah.
When he first got there and he was in the swamp, they kept showing the fin of something swimming around him and then did nothing with it throughout the entirety of the movie.
It could have at least like popped out of the water and ate one of the little raptor things or something.
See, I thought it was going to grab one of the bodies.
Yeah, or that.
Yeah, it could have done something, and they might have done it. It might be hopefully, there's an extended cut to this someday, because I feel like they might have cut out a lot, because it felt kind of short, and there wasn't too much. But at the same time, like, how much can you do, really, with the whole movie, with the exception of the beginning 5 minutes, has 2 people. So, or 1. So, maximum of 2 people in every scene. So, I don't know how much you can really do to keep it interesting, but maybe, I mean, more animals, more dinosaurs, more monsters, and whatnot. But he gets there and he's checking things out. He's trying to figure out what's going on. He thinks he's alone and that everybody died. And so he sent out a distress signal that originally said send help. And then he's like, nah, screw it. Sends another one saying, don't worry about me. I got me. And then
he basically says, all survivors are dead. Don't send help.
Yeah, don't bother.
And then he turns the gun and is about to kill himself. But then he has like a flashback memory of his daughter and gets a little emotional. And then right at that moment is when the ship starts like beeping. It's like, oh, one of the cryopods is showing signs of life.
Yep. So he gets that little notification, goes, looks for it, finds it. It's a little girl around the same age as his daughter. So he rescues her, gets her back to the ship. She's asleep. He's like, all right, I gotta go like do some exploring around here, see if we can find an escape pod.
Yeah, one of the escape pods. And I think some of them had been destroyed, and there was one that he found that was like 15 kilometers away.
Yeah, on top of a mountain. Right. So he's out there doing that, trying to find stuff, and then he hears a noise, and the little girl had been following him, and then he runs after her and tries to talk to her. She doesn't speak his language, and so he can't really figure out how to tell her they need to get to the escape pod, and he starts like drawing stuff. Oh, speaking of drawing stuff, that red powder that he drew in the trailers, he was using that to like make trail markers, and I never saw him do that in the movie.
I don't remember that trailer.
Yeah, so I'm thinking they definitely cut a lot of stuff out. I'm hoping for an extended cut, because it is a good movie. I'm going to say this up front. It was a very good movie. Not groundbreaking or anything like that, but it wasn't bad. It was a solid survival genre movie with the twist that it's a futuristic humanoid, but 65 million years ago. So old meets new.
Yeah, it's a fresh break from all the superhero movies and everything else that's coming out, so.
Yeah, it's something fresh. It's a new IP. There's no way of setting up a sequel to it. So it was a good one-off movie made by the guys that made Quiet Place. Quiet Place 1 was really good. Never bothered watching the second one because I didn't actually like the ending to the first one. The rest of the movie was good. A lot of tension, and that tension definitely stays like there throughout this movie as well. It is a very tense movie. You're on the edge of your seat like throughout the whole movie. Is something crazy going to happen, or are these guys going to get hurt? Or
there's a couple of jump scares, but yeah, mostly it is just very tense the entire time.
Yeah, and they do a good job though of interjecting that like little bit of comedy to like lighten the mood before it goes back into, so you're not tense throughout the whole thing where it's like super draining. But it definitely has a lot of tense moments through it. It's definitely a roller coaster. So he talks to the girl using drawings to, kind of tell her what they need to do. And they come to an agreement, and they set off on their journey to get to their ship. And let's see, what happens first? Is it the berry thing? That happened pretty early on, maybe.
Well, there was the bug on his neck. He splatted it, and the goop from it was like super glue.
Yeah.
And so that was like a little bit of one of the comedic scenes.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think, after that was that the berry?
Yeah, there was berry. I forgot to say earlier, right before he saw the girl had been following him, he had gotten attacked by like a little velociraptor Troodon thing.
Yeah, he beat the shit out of it.
Yeah, he beat it to death with the butt of his gun instead of using the gun. But so if you do watch it and you don't want to get jump scared, when he's looking over a cliff and you can see a dinosaur chasing some other dinosaurs at the bottom of the cliff, and you try to like focus in on it so you can like get a clear picture of what's going on, as soon as your eyes focus, that's when you're going to get jump scared. So
it got me.
Yeah, it got both of us. And I normally don't get jump scared in movies, but that one got me because it came out of nowhere. No build up to it whatsoever. So that was a good one. You got me, directors and writers and everybody. Haha, so funny. You got us. But yeah, going back to they're on the trail. The bug thing was really funny. And kind of like in a sweet way too, right? Because she's the age of his daughter, and he has been away from her for so long, and we're both dads, and we're both specifically girl dads, and so like, you know, him getting the bug goop on his hand and then chasing her with it, you know, that kind of stuff is like throughout the whole movie, and I felt it was really relatable and really sweet, for lack of a better word.
The whole movie was nice from a dad perspective, because it was just a man and this girl that reminded him of his daughter, pretty much doing this like survival outdoor camping trip, basically.
Yep. It's really good, and the girl, the actress that plays the girl, does a really good job of, I mean, acting like a little girl, you know. I mean, she doesn't seem like she's uncomfortable or stiff or anything. It's everything's acting wise is very natural. So she did a really good job. And then obviously Adam Driver is the king. So Adam Driver did great. He looks funny, but he's a great actor. And I know that he comes to our area on a semi-regular basis. One of these days, I'm going to find him. And shake his hand.
The creepiest way possible.
Well, I want him to know I will find you.
We're not going to harm you, Adam.
And I will shake your hand and tell you how much I appreciate your service to this country and your roles in movies and how great they are. Okay? I'm a huge Adam Driver fan. I have like a shrine. I don't want to call it a shrine because that makes it sound religious. I have a bunch of stuff based off of his character from Star Wars sitting in my office. But acting was great. So they have that little moment, and then there's another moment shortly after that. You can hear kind of a bigger dinosaur stomping off in the distance, and then some what would you call that? Like cries for help from like a young animal kind of thing, right?
I forgot about that part.
It basically sounds like something that you would use to call in a coyote. So the little girl runs to see what's going on because, you know, she's a little girl and there's an animal in trouble. And so she runs over and there's a little baby dinosaur thing. Not like none of the dinosaurs in the movie are real dinosaurs in the sense that
it's almost like a club tail or whatever.
Yeah, but it also had like the skull structure of like a Rex.
Yeah.
And it was a theropod, but it also, it had like the
I'll just say, I liked the dinosaurs in this movie, even if they weren't
100%
realistic. But who cares? They were cool little dinosaurs.
Yep, they were dope. I really liked them. I liked their design quite a bit. So she, you know, and Adam, they pull the thing out and start walking away. And this is like kind of sets the tone for the whole movie, right? Where anytime there's anything that can give you any sense of like happiness or sweet or anything like that is immediately ruined by terror, because that thing starts getting murked by a bunch of little Troodons, I think is what they were supposed to be.
Yeah, like 10 feet away from where they just rescued this little thing.
Oh yeah, and immediately
gets jumped by 10 little dinosaurs.
Yeah, and eaten alive.
Yeah.
And so she's like crying and like screaming, but he's got his hand over her mouth and like holding her back and like, you know, keeping her hidden. They keep walking, like, you know, he calms her down and they have to leave because there's nothing they can do. And they get, you know, further down the trail and they can't find where they are anymore. And he's got this like cool little iPad thing with him that's giving him all the data. That was one of the things too that I like, is all the technology in this is futuristic but not fantastical, if that makes sense. Nothing too crazy like you would see in Star Wars or anything like that. Little bombs, guns, backpack, and the backpacks are just backpacks. It's nothing weird. They wear normal clothes. They don't try to get too like 60s with it, where everything looks funny and shiny and impractical. But yeah, his little iPad got all this cool little stuff in there, but it lost its signal. So there's a giant tree. He's like, I'll climb the giant tree and see where we are, and he climbs it, and then halfway down or something, or maybe it was while he was still at the top, he falls after getting some bugs on his hand. Like, classic move like that's realistic right there. Ooh, bug, and then you fall 30 feet and dislodge your shoulder. And of course, as soon as he injures himself, a swarm of monsters start coming at him. These weird, almost,
they were like raptor-ish.
It was like a crocodile, mixed with a lizard,
but with long legs.
Right, this one like a lizard crocodile, like horse,
athletic rear legs.
Yeah, it's like the size of a horse, the thinness of like a lizard, but like the attitude of a crocodile. It was kind of weird. Whatever it was neat, and there was a bunch of them. They were like pack hunting.
Yeah, there was a bunch. I did not expect there to be that many, and those things were aggressive. Mm-hmm. That was probably one of my favorite parts. That and the very ending. But.
Yeah, that was a really tense scene, and like she's trying to help him set his shoulder so he can use the gun because he just fell out of the tree, right? And they're like getting rushed, and like right at the last second, of course, he gets his shoulder back in place, grabs the gun, starts going ham on him. But then like more of them are starting to swarm, and he tells the girl to run. Right there, by the way, that's the Jurassic Park reference. All right, for the whole movie, that's the Jurassic Park reference.
Run.
Yep, that's in it. Every Jurassic Park movie, they got a run. So they did the run thing, and then actually right after that, you could hear Jurassic Park Velociraptor noises coming from those dinosaurs, whatever they were. But there's your Jurassic Park reference for the movie. Because you got to have it. It's a dinosaur movie, right? Biggest dinosaur movie of all time is Jurassic Park. Everything's copying it now. But she runs away, goes to the beach, which kind of made me think back to the beginning, because that's the last place he saw his daughter was the beach. And she's hiding behind a tree. He's up there fighting. You can hear gunshots off in the distance. But then I guess one of the things had made it past him, or two of them had made it past him. And, now they started coming after the girl, and she was about to get got and made the worst decision that she could have by just climbing on top of the tree and still not running or anything like that, because they were obviously shown climbing throughout their previous encounter. So they are good climbers. But of course, right before they get her, they get got by old Adam Driver. He's like, "Hey, are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm good." And then bam, here we go again with that, stuff coming out of nowhere and scaring the crap out of you. And one of them grabs her by her shirt and starts dragging her off in the woods to eat her. And so Adam starts running after him and scares it off. And then
I like what he does though. Instead of like actually shooting it, he misses, but he just keeps shooting like up in the sky. He's like, pow, 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 just trying to scare it away.
Yep, that was good.
That gun that he has, by the way, pretty sick.
Oh yeah, it did a lot of damage too.
Yeah, it had like, I don't know if he was like charging it for like extra damage or something, but it was like sometimes it shot fast and it did, pretty light damage, and sometimes it shot slow and it did really heavy damage.
Yeah, I have to like break down the actual like bits where it had the gun up close to really know what they were trying to go with it, but it almost seems like it was like an energy based weapon that had like a fingerprint scanner that it could also, I don't know, but had different like modes for it, the
physics of it, like that kinetic energy when it hit the dinosaur, it was nice.
Oh yeah. It was definitely a solid weapon.
Yeah.
But after she gets attacked, like she's super distraught. She's got herself curled up in a ball. She's not talking. She's not moving. And
for hours.
Yeah.
The sun sets.
Yeah. So he just waits for her and lets her calm down, but I mean she's still just sitting there. And so then he starts doing kind of the dad thing, right? So he starts doing that little hand whistle, and she's like looking over at him, and she's still like acting perfectly like a little girl would act, where she's kind of side-eyeing him and trying to act like she doesn't care, but then she starts to show off her own whistle that she knows how to do.
It's different, but it makes the same sound.
Yeah. So they had their little moment, and then he's like, "So you good to go?" And she's like, "Yeah, let's go." So they move on, and they set themselves up in a cave, and he puts this thing around them.
It's like a sensor.
I think it's just a motion tracker.
Yeah.
He said that they would be safe, and so I thought that maybe it was like a fence of some kind, like some kind of energy fence, but it was, there was no barrier to it, and it wasn't a very good motion tracker either.
No.
And I thought that maybe something had happened to her because her hand went outside of it, like when she was sleeping and she had rolled over and her hand went outside, and maybe that's how. But even then, it doesn't make any sense that the thing would have gotten into her mouth. She got a bug in her mouth that she started choking on.
It was a nasty.
It was very gross.
Yeah.
And then he like made it pop somehow with the antenna from the motion sensor.
Electricity, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure how, but he killed it, and then she like threw it up, and the motion sensors are going off, and you can hear this like little chirping coming from a tunnel in the cave that they're in, and so they're like really focusing in on that tunnel. Because the motion sensors are like starting to light up red and like kind of stuff. And then, of course, the thing's behind them, right? It's raining outside. The mouth of the cave has like a waterfall come over it. Lightning flashes. You see the silhouette of the monster, and it starts sticking its head in.
This is like a T-Rex sized dinosaur.
I would say it was bigger than a T-Rex. Probably twice the size of a T-Rex.
Anyway, just a big mouth with a bunch of teeth sticking its head in the cave.
Yeah, it reminded me of like a what are those things called? Like a Sarcosuchus, or not a Sarcosuchus, a Postasuchus? I can't remember.
It reminded me of the part in the Jurassic Park book where the T-Rex is sticking his head in the cave with Lex and Tim.
Yeah, and in the Lost World Jurassic Park where it does it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it reminded me of that, but it also reminded me of Disney's dinosaur with the Carnotaurs.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I thought of most of all with that part. But
caves, rainy, stormy weather, and big dinosaurs.
Yeah, so
makes for a good scene.
They start freaking out, and he shoots it in the eye, and then bails. Then they jump down the tunnel where they heard the chirping earlier, and there's a little oviraptor down there. But they go through the tunnel. They're trying to find a way out. They couldn't find a way out. They found this like small pocket where air was flowing, and so he started chipping away at it with his tools. And he couldn't get it to open wide enough for them to go through, and he was getting really mad, and so he kind of like gave up. And she's like, "Hey, keep going, we gotta get out of here." And he's like, "Oh, your family's dead. I've been lying to you. Your family's dead. You're not gonna see him." But she doesn't speak his language, right? So it doesn't matter. I thought that was kind of a weird moment, but I mean, it's okay. So then he's like, "Oh, duh, I've got bombs." And so he sticks one of his little bombs in there, and blows up the hole wide enough. So
Which
they can go through.
At that point that one of those little bombs is a pretty good explosion.
Yeah.
So note that for later.
Yeah, that's going to come back. So she starts crawling through, and then he starts crawling through. It's just wide enough for him. Very claustrophobic feeling. This is that part about tension, right? That whole part is real tense. Everything in the cave is tense. And she pops out on the other side, and then it starts rumbling. Oh, the rocks start falling. There's a cave in, and he comes back. He gets back out on the side that they went in, and she's on the other side now. And now they're separated with this wall of rock between them, and he's all freaking out and scared and like screaming.
He thinks she's dead because the way the rocks collapsed, from his point of view, looks like she was crushed.
Yeah. So he's all upset, but then he can hear her whistle on the other side. He's like, "Okay, I got to find my a way out of here and get back to her." So he starts going through the cave, and she starts getting out of the cave. And while he's going through the cave, he gets jumped by the oviraptor. Another jump scare right there. And that was a pretty good little scene. I really liked. So his little iPad thing has this 3D model, and he turned on the proximity scanner, right? So it shows like a scan of the area, and so you can see in the little 3D model, like at one point, they cut from the actual fight to the 3D model of them fighting in the little hologram. So that was cool, and it comes back, and he shoots it and kills it and whatnot and moves on. But he gets out. Now once he gets out, now she gets jumped by a pack of raptors. Well, specifically I think one raptor came after her, and she runs into this log to try to like evade it, and it starts climbing into the log. And so she comes out one end, gets on top of the log, jumps down to like enclose that end of the log, and then the dinosaur turns around to like go back to the way it came in the first time, and she ran back over there and then jumped on it again to close that end of the log. And now there's a little hole on the top of the log, right? And she took not one of those bombs.
It was like 5.
And now these each of these bombs is like a hand grenade, right? And she took 5 of them. Okay, this thing weighed maybe
40 pounds.
Oh, less. I would say 25 pounds tops, right?
Yeah.
Real skinny little thing, right? Maybe 2 foot tall. and she dumps 5 of these bombs into that log, and then, you know, kaboom, you know, it goes off, right? And he hears the commotion and is chasing after her to get her, and he like jumps over this thing and falls right into, you know, what do they call that in movies? Quicksand, right? So he's like, I'm sinking, and now he's screaming for help, and she's running to him, and he goes under, like, you know, he holds his breath right before he goes under, and they just showed that like static shot of him, of just the water after he goes in for a long time. Mm-hmm. It was a weirdly long time of them showing that. Tense. Oh yeah, because you're like, okay, all right, come on, all right, give me something here, all right, come on, it's been like 35 seconds, what's going on? And then finally she knocks a tree in there, and he pulls himself out using the tree, and so, you know, they're reunited, and he hugs her, and he's like, hey, thanks for saving my life, and he's covered in all this goop. He kind of looks like if you took a chocolate cereal and filled a pool with it, and then had somebody like jump through it, and now they're like all covered in like wet cereal. That's what he looked like. It was kind of gross. Or dog food. There we go. That's a better one. Like dog food, like kibbles and bits kind of stuff. It was gross. I don't know why like they made the quicksand look like that, but they did.
So going back real quick, that scene where she blows up that little raptor and it's like mass overkill. I don't think that was supposed to be like comedic relief, but it was funny. And it was especially funny for us because the guy in the theater in front of us, he said, and then he goes,
I didn't even hear him say anything. I just heard the weird, like, him choking.
We were both laughing, though.
Yeah, I was laughing at him choking. Maybe I'm not a good person. Also, earlier, like, way back earlier in the movie, before he found her, when he's still, like exploring the area, he found a vent from a geyser and got burned a little bit. Mm-hmm. So that's going to come back. But they are reunited. You know, they're at the bottom of the mountain. They're like, all right, let's get going. So they start climbing the mountain. Things are going all right. They're making their way up. They're at this like cliff where it's tall enough so he can't climb over it, but it's low enough to where he can like boost her up and have her go over. And so he gave her a rope, had her, and that rope looked just like a basic modern rope, like from today. It was kind of funny.
But it was like 200 feet long. Yeah,
no futuristic rope. It was just like a rope, you know. But he pushes her up. She goes over there and she ties the rope off. But she's taking forever. He's like, "Hey, are you okay up there? Like, what's going on? Like, you know, it's been a while. You know, I'm still down here. I hear animal noises. I would like a rope, please." And so the rope comes over the edge and he climbs up. And when he gets up there, she had like ran it around and tied it to like 50 things. It looked like a spider web. I mean, it was pretty funny. Like that definitely was one of those like mood lighteners. And then from there they make it up to the half of his ship that has the escape pod, and he's been telling her this whole time that that's where her family is at the top of the mountains. And so he's getting the escape pod all ready to go, right? Not even thinking about the fact that she's been expecting to see her family here the whole time. And then
she finds the pod.
Yeah, she finds all the pods
and realizes her family is dead.
Oh yeah, they're dead. And so she's screaming at him about her family, and then he pulls out a picture of his daughter. Well, come to find out that while they were out in their mission, or while he was out on his mission, his daughter's disease that he got this job to pay to fix got worse, and she ended up dying while he was gone. And so he never got to like see her before she died. And so he's like, connecting with her. He's like, hey, my daughter's dead. Your family's dead. Life sucks. Let's go. So they have a little bonding moment there, and that's one of the more emotional parts of it, because nobody likes to think about their kid dying. So they get in the escape pod, and at this point, the asteroid, that we've all heard about, that was the size of Mount Everest, that hit in the Yucatan Peninsula and wiped out all the dinosaurs. So that thing was coming, right? And it's like almost in the atmosphere. It's already got fragments of it landing everywhere, blowing stuff up. And of course, one of them. Go ahead.
I thought they did a really good job with the asteroids too, and like the little fragments burning up and everything.
Oh yeah, everything looked real pretty.
It looked great, and the size of the asteroid felt good for what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, it was a real pretty movie. Like throughout, like all the CG was okay, the monster design was good, so nothing crazy bad about any of that. But they get in the escape pod, and they're getting ready to launch, and then of course the ship that they're in gets hit with one of the asteroid fragments, and it goes rolling down the mountain. now they're upside down in the escape pod, and wouldn't you know it, T-Rex thing starts coming after the ship, right? So he drops down, like the gun is outside, assuming that it also fell from the mountain after the whole asteroid thing and landed conveniently outside the escape pod. And he gets out, and she's in there trying to get it ready to go, but it can't launch because it's upside down. And he gets the gun, and now there's 2 of the monsters. And oh, by the way, throughout this whole time, he's been getting injured left and right. He got stabbed in the gut by some kind of shrapnel when they first crashed. He
dislocated his shoulder.
Yeah, dislocated his shoulder.
He got bit by the Oviraptor.
Yeah, he's got bitten by dinosaurs. He's got clawed at by dinosaurs. He's fallen. He's gotten burned. So he's getting beat up this whole time. So he's pretty beaten up at this point, only being there for a day and a half. And he's running towards part of the ship that had crashed. There's 2 T-Rex things chasing after him now because apparently one was, hidden in the darkness. And he's in there trying to get his stuff together, mentally. And then one of them does something and like smashes the part of the ship that he was hiding in. And once again, he gets quite hurt. But that little iPad thing that he has this like projector that he can put little things in to watch videos from his daughter. And the girl has the thing and it has the slides. So she sets it up, and now the projector's going and it's playing the hologram. And so the dinosaurs get distracted by the hologram, and while they're distracted, boom, blows the brains out of one of them, absolutely wastes it.
Oh, yeah.
And then the other one is all like, "Oh, you killed my brother," kind of thing. And he wastes that one too, like just puts a bunch of shots into it and
shoots it in the foot.
Yeah, shoots it in the ankle. Yeah, it falls over, bleeding everywhere. And I think he used all his ammo on that one, right? He finished his gun off on them, and he's like, "All right, let's get out of here," right? The ship got reoriented into the correct position by the T-Rex is attacking it, and he's making his way back over there. And then what shows up? That giant monster from earlier in the movie that he shot the eye out of. So he's like, crap. So now he starts running to get that thing away from the ship. He tells the girl to launch the ship.
And this thing is chasing him on all 4 legs.
Oh, yeah. This is not
terrifying.
Yeah, this is not a biped. This is not quadriplegic, but a
quadrupedal.
Yeah, quadrupedal dinosaur here starts chasing after him, and it's huge. It's probably like 50, 60 feet long, 20 feet tall. I mean, it's a thick boy, and it's coming after him pretty hard, right? So he's running and running and running, and he jumps over something to keep running, and he twists his ankle. Like, gosh darn it, guy. Stop making bad choices. It's almost like he's doing QTE events, and he always misses.
Yeah.
But he keeps getting hurt, and now he's like limping, and he found the geysers that he had run into earlier. He's like, aha, I'll trick this thing into going over a geyser right when it goes off and boil it. And but he sets it up, he's right behind a geyser. It's coming at him. The geyser goes off. He's like, I think I got it. And then the geyser goes back down, and it wasn't over the geyser whenever it went off. So it's perfectly fine. And he's like, oh, crap, I'm about to die. Well, it starts coming in. It's like, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you.
Yeah, he's pretty much accepted it at this point. He's just sitting there waiting to get ate.
Yeah, and then 9-year-old little girl comes out of nowhere with a bone that she had found earlier and then covered in poison, even though she didn't really need the poison.
Yeah.
Stabs that thing in its good eye, like right before it gets him. It's like, crap, I got stabbed in my other eye.
Now it's blind.
Yeah, and it's like stomping around, and then boom, geyser goes off again. This time, it is over the geyser, and it gets melted, dude. It is brutal.
It's gnarly.
It looks like a boiled chicken.
Just flesh dripping off of this thing's face.
It was like, holy smokes. And, if you've seen A Quiet Place, spoilers, John Krasinski dies at the end, right? So this being made by the same people, I was definitely going in there thinking that Adam Driver was probably not going to make it out of this, and he was going to sacrifice himself for the girl. Thank goodness they didn't do that. So she kills it. They get on the ship. They launch out of there right before the asteroid hits Earth. It's like, all right, cool, Earth got hit. And they fly off into space.
But yeah, they make it out of the atmosphere right as the big asteroid is hitting the Earth. And it's huge. The explosion was awesome. I thought it was really cool. All the CGI looked really good on that part.
Yeah, I didn't really care about it that much. I was like, oh, I was more just like thankful that they were both out of there and that they didn't like kill him off.
I don't know, just yeah. I've seen a lot of movies with the Earth, like 2012, when the Earth was like falling apart, collapsing and stuff. Mm-hmm. This one looked better.
Okay,
like the way the asteroid hit and the Earth is crumbling and exploding, and it just looks really good.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. It was good. Man, what a movie. I really liked it. They went off to the sunset. I like to imagine that him and his wife adopted her now that she was parentless, or that she had family back on their home world that she could go back to because she lost both of her parents. But I like to think that it was more the Adam Driver and his wife got to adopt her. I know that that's like, when I say that, and when I really think about it, it's kind of weird. Like, that wouldn't probably be cool in real life, right? Because they've had a day and a half of knowing each other. And I was like, oh, I'm going to adopt you. That would be weird. But for a movie, that'd be cool. That'd be sweet. But for real life, yeah, that'd probably be weird. But it's a movie. So I want that's the ending in my mind. They fly off into space. He adopts her with his wife, and they live old and happy, and he never breaks another bone. Again, but most likely he seems like he was probably a klutz before, and he
clumsy fella.
Yeah, he had this weird like breathing thing throughout the whole movie too. I think that he also had some kind of breathing problem, so I thought that might have killed him, but then they didn't do it didn't.
Maybe it was a genetic thing. That's
what I'm saying.
Yeah,
but it was maybe affected her more than it affected him, because he did kind of have a weird breathing throughout the movie, or maybe that was just Adam Driver's like acting style. But it has emotional beats in it that are pretty decent. Like, you can feel it. It's got really tense moments in it. It's got good like levity to break up those tense moments. CGI's good. Acting's great. They didn't go too crazy with it. They didn't go too boring with it. It was a great survival movie. Like I said earlier, this isn't like a groundbreaking, change the way that Hollywood does things movie. But for me, it was more like a classic 80s movie style, or like 90s.
You compared it to The Edge already, but it was a lot like The Edge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I love The Edge.
Oh, yeah, me too. It's the reason why I'm terrified of bears, but other than that, it's a really good movie.
No, I do think The Edge is better than this movie, but this movie was still really good.
Yeah. The reason that The Edge is better, what I would say is better about The Edge, right? Other than the fact that it's relatable to a sense, to where Anthony like this is a world that we see, as opposed to being
it's better because of Anthony Hopkins.
Well, Anthony Hopkins is good, but it's also like they can have more depth with it, right? Because the guy that he's surviving with is the guy that was trying to kill him in the first place.
True.
So that's how you do a twist right there, right? That's how you do a twist.
Yeah.
And then it twists it again when he ends up killing himself on accident. So, take that, you selfish son of... Hey, funny enough, Alec Baldwin, right? Killing famous people.
Good thing he didn't have to shoot Anthony Hopkins in The Edge, because he might have actually killed him on set.
Yeah, that's the last thing we need, is Anthony Hopkins to die. The weird videos he posts on Twitter is what I live for. But let's see. What else can we say about this movie?
Good, fun for the family movie.
Okay, no, do not take... I wouldn't take anybody under the age of... Well, morally, I wouldn't take anybody under the age of 13 to it. But realistically... I probably wouldn't take anybody.
The girl was 9, so I would say 9.
No, I would not take a 9-year-old to watch that.
I would.
You should take your oldest to watch it.
Yeah, Riley would have terrors.
Well, I didn't want to say her name because I didn't know if you were comfortable with it.
Okay, well, she.
Well, Riley, you should take Riley to see it and see how well she does. We showed her one clip from Venom and she had nightmares. Oh, man. But, yeah. No, I would say, like, this is... I don't know if it's rated R. I think it's PG-13. It probably... I think... Yeah, a 13-year-old probably wouldn't get too scared by it. I think they could handle it. Yeah. It's good. Is it worth seeing in theaters, in your opinion?
I'm going to say no.
Yeah, so for me, 65 is good, right? It's not a spectacle of any kind, though. in the audio department, visual department, anything like that, right? It's not bad, but it's not like, crazy good. You have to see it. For me, it's if you're already planning on going to the movie theater for a night out and you don't know what to watch, I would say it's a good choice. Now, if you're not planning on going to the movie theater, right? It's a Sony movie, so it'll be on Paramount Plus at some point. If you have Paramount Plus, feel free to wait for it, or maybe just wait for it and buy it on like Google or something so you can watch it digitally. But it is good. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think you have to see it in theaters. It's nothing like you need to see it in theaters. This is definitely something that you can watch on the couch and get just as much joy out of it.
Yeah.
You probably won't get as scared though. Those jump scares definitely hit you more whenever they're the size of a movie theater. Final rating, Marty.
You go first.
All right, I'm gonna give it 9 Kylos out of 10 Rens.
I'm gonna give it 5 out of 6 65s.
I'm gonna give it 65s. All right, perfect.
Now, on a 1 to 10, I'd probably give it like a 6.5, 7.
Yeah, I'd give it probably about a 7. I would give it an 8 if it had a better title though.
Better title, and I don't know, maybe if it had some of those scenes that we think were cut.
Yeah. I want to see a director's cut for it. I want to see a different title for it. 65 is just...
it's too late now.
I know.
It is what it is. But
I know. It's just 65 doesn't make any sense, right? If it said 65 million years ago, that'd be a mouthful. I don't know. It was just a weird title, but I probably couldn't come up with one better. But I'll think about it though.
The ship was pretty cool. I really liked the ship.
Oh yeah, the ship design was nice.
We didn't get to see it for very long.
Yeah, before it blew up.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah, it really jumped right into the survival.
It did. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, what was this planet? Planet Solaris?
I don't even remember.
Showed the planet, showed the beach, told you what the plot was, and then boom, they crashed.
Pretty much. It was very little in between. I think that's something that maybe could have benefited it.
Yeah, I think a little bit of a longer scene where he's actually on the ship, traveling through space, maybe show him like checking on the cryopods, drinking his coffee.
Yeah, see, I would have liked them like bringing the people on the ship, him putting him in the cryo, like the first time he really meets the girl and her family, right? And everybody else, all that. And then also...
It jumps from the beach to over a year into his space journey.
Oh yeah. So you definitely miss a lot out of it. And then with his daughter dying, right, and him wanting to kill himself at the beginning, I think what they should have done, instead of him trying to kill himself...
I thought you said, I think he should have done it.
No, so like the thing is, without us, because you don't know at that point that his daughter's dead, right?
Right.
So him committing suicide doesn't really make sense to you because he's got something to go home back to, right? So that right there is already telling you, okay, his daughter's dead, right? So that kind of spoils that reveal later, in my opinion.
That's true.
And then also, if he's trying to get the other girl home, right? I felt like what would have given it a little more emotional impact would have been if he didn't want to take care of her and it was more of an obligation than a want. Because throughout the movie, like, he wants to help her, he wants to get her home, he wants to save her.
You're talking about like a Joel and Ellie type of thing from The Last of Us?
Yeah, I guess if we want to
he kept calling her cargo and he had a job to do.
Yeah.
Up to a certain point, anyway.
Maybe. It was just the whole part, or the whole movie, he was just a real sweetheart to her, right? Which is okay. There's people
I liked that, yeah.
I know. I just felt like it kind of, what's the word I'm looking for here? It made it a little flat. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I liked it. I liked them showing like a paternal instinct.
Yeah. There's no real character development. And this is kind of a hard movie to do character development in the first place, right? This style, the survival thing, right? What I'm saying is like what would have built some depth on them as characters, right? Is if he would have been doing it out of obligation and not wanting to do it, not really liking her, and then slowly throughout this time that they're spending together, and bonding, they do get closer, and then he starts seeing her like he sees his daughter, and not so much from a place of pain anymore, which is kind of why he was resenting her towards the beginning, but more of like a place of where it's getting back into him being in that fatherhood role again, even if it's not his actual daughter. And then at the end, he's been wanting to kill himself this whole time, and the only reason why he didn't is because he wanted to get her off the planet, right? But then in the end, she's the one that saves him and redeems him, and now, they leave off together, right?
I feel like we did get that kind of. It wasn't as well articulated as you wanted it to be. When he comes out of the sand pit and he gives her the big hug, it's like, oh, now he.
That's what I'm saying. Like
that's that transition.
It feels like
to me.
Towards the end, like the end of it, it was like they had started with what I was talking about, but they didn't. You know what I'm saying? So the end ended, I would say, the way that it should have. But if that ending would have had more depth, if the beginning had set it up better.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But I mean, like I said before, I still think it's a good movie. Like it's an enjoyable movie. Does every single movie have to have so much depth? No. There's some movies you can just go to watch people try to not get eaten by dinosaurs, you know?
Yeah.
And if you want to make them deep, you can make them deep. If you don't want to make them deep, you don't have to make them deep. But I do feel like maybe the editing was weird because what the trailers were showing versus what the movie actually had in it was definitely different. Definitely different. For
a movie about, intergalactic space travel and dinosaurs, it was all in all pretty simple.
Oh yeah. Yep. They didn't make it messy with like trying to do too much background information.
Yeah.
Kind of like they do with Star Wars and Star Trek and some sci-fi movies where you have to know like what everything is and how it works and why it does the way that it does. Like we don't even know why they were on that mission in the first place. He was just moving, 20 people.
He said it was a space exploration mission, but why were you carrying passengers on a space exploration?
Well, I've been calling it space exploration. I don't remember if that's what he called it though.
I think he did.
That's what I'm saying. I don't remember. But whatever his mission, like we don't really know specifics of what his mission was. We don't really know specifics of who he was carrying, why he was carrying them.
All I'm saying, a 9-year-old girl on a space exploration mission sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah. The most background information we got at all on his home planet was when she would start speaking a different language and he was trying to figure out what language she was speaking.
Yeah.
That was pretty much it.
And we don't even know if they're from the same planet.
I mean, that's true. Well, he said she was from the Northern Territories, but I don't know what that means. So, yeah. It was a simple movie. They didn't go too far with it to make it like convoluted or anything like that. Could they have added more depth to the plot? Maybe. Did they need to? No. I think for what it is, it was good.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. So I think we're going to wrap this up because we're just rambling at this point. But good movie. Go watch it in the theaters if you're going to the theaters already and you need something to watch. Wait until it's out on digital if you don't feel like going to the theaters, but still give it a watch. Nate, you might like it. Probably not, though. All right. That's it. Thanks for listening, folks.
See ya.